What's up, everybody? Colin and Coach Kolton here. We're still waiting to see if Paul's going to make it today. He's at his daughter's volleyball game, and hopefully we'll have Chase and Todd popping on here soon. Roman might pop in at some point too. He's working out right now, but maybe like 30, 45 minutes he'll be able to come on. We already got some pretty good questions coming in. Keep the questions coming. We'll get some answers for you. But before we get started, let me go ahead and run the disclaimer so nobody holds us liable for the stupid shit you might do.
Warning, this content is for entertainment and educational purposes only.
Well, what is up, Coach Kolton? How you been, man? How's your week?
Good, man. It's been great, man. I've been training. I finally crossed that 255 threshold, which
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been nasty, man. It's been a brutal. I don't like it. I really don't like it.
I can imagine.
I feel like a fat ass. It's crazy.
I think I'm bulking the wrong way lately. I've been this past month I had like some issues with my cats. I've got I had four cats and a dog in a small like space, and then like an idiot I decided to pick up two new kittens.
Oh my God.
I know I have a problem. No more though. That's my limit. I swear. I'm not like I know I'm crazy cat man over here. I've got
six cats
and a 100-pound dog, and the 100-pound dog wants to eat the cats, so they have to like be kept separately. So we're playing like this 3-card Monty game all day long, like shuffling the cats and the dogs, like take the dog out and put the cats away so they don't get eaten. It's wild here, man. But yeah, the two new kittens I brought home, one of them had an upper respiratory infection. Like we didn't know he had like a virus, like, but he wasn't presenting with symptoms yet. And then like they just ran like wildfire through every one of my cats, and like a couple of my cats are like elderly. And so, like, it hit him harder than it did everybody else. What's up, Paul?
Oh, Paul made it.
Yeah.
Nothing much.
From his nondescript hotel room.
I left an hour and a half early.
Oh, man.
Here. It was like 35 miles an hour the whole freaking way down.
Brutal, dude.
Todd is asking me to email him the link. It's Todd.
I wasn't sure, like, is that something I was supposed to do?
I did it yesterday, but
okay, yeah, because you didn't mention, so I figured you had it under control.
Yeah,
I was just explaining to Kolton how I've been stress eating for like the past month because I've been taking care of like six sick cats, one after the other, and two of them are elderly, and like one of them almost fucking died because of this fucking like upper respiratory infection, because like he's old. And when they get congested, they don't have like taste buds, right? So they don't taste their food. They have to be able to smell it in order to like get the juices going and get their appetite going. So like he can't smell his food. He's just like, I'll just die then. Just won't eat, and I'll just be ravaged by this virus and die. So I was like baby birding him like fucking like liquefied food via oral syringe multiple times a day just to keep him alive. So yeah, I ate a lot of McDonald's this past month, and that's why my title today is bulking enthusiast. I'm not proud, but it happened.
If you were my client, I couldn't say that. I've never heard that kind of story before about I fell off my diet.
I have the opposite.
I'm ready to start like dieting and like getting back on track, but man, I am a fat boy right now. It sucks.
I have the opposite problem. I haven't been eating all my. I just been working so much, and I haven't been getting all my food in. And the shitty part is,
what's up, Todd?
It's like,
oh, okay,
hey, what's up, man?
Right.
Yep, we're here. I'm eating less, and my body composition has gotten worse. How does that work?
Oh, that's the thing, right? It's crazy. You like eat a little bit less, I think you get a little bit flatter, and then you look even fatter. It's like the most annoying shit ever.
Yeah, my body fat has gone up, and I weigh exactly the same as I started in my off season, but yet my body fat has gone up.
Before you got on, Kolton was talking about how he just passed the 255 threshold for his weight. So
Yeah,
Jesus,
pretty awesome.
You're gonna catch me soon, man.
All right,
Kolton, you're 255.
Yeah, I just was this as of this morning. Dude, I fucking hate it though. Like my face feels like
I didn't know you were that heavy. How tall are you?
Did you?
I'm 6'2", so on me it's
that
not
explains
that.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought you were like 5'9".
No, God, that'd be crazy cool though.
Did you crank your GH up like
Yeah,
Chase?
I've been doing the full fucking vial of the Meditropes for like 2.5 weeks now.
How's that going?
Awesome. I love it, man.
Side effects.
Yeah, the worst side effects, I told Paul about this, but it's like I get pumps like all day long, like lower back pumps. I get feet pumps, like from wearing the wrong shoes. Like my feet get fucking pumped and they start cramping up. My calves get fucking shin splints all the time. And
Dude, you want to talk about pumps? I get them at the worst time. when I'm having an intimate moment with my lady, I get ab cramps, man. I get like these horrible ab
the worst,
man. And I'm like, time out. You got to get on top.
Like, hold up.
Meanwhile, my daughter's back here in the background.
Yeah.
Earmuffs.
She's got her headphones on. She doesn't know what's going on.
So you're
Yeah,
using
that's the crazy. I woke up
Lactose.
this morning and my pec just like locked up.
Yeah, I'm using the Mediatropes too. That's what I have right now.
But
I
you're
love
using
them.
the black tops, the 15.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So apparently-
14.7, I think is what they say, or some shit like that.
So batch, I saw the batch reports, and like batch 116 is 17
Yeah.
IU per container.
It's definitely the best IV. Like if I can get Meditropes, I'm always going to go for that for sure.
Yeah, I'm running out of them. The guy I was getting them from is out of them, so I don't know where to get them from.
Yeah.
But that's another story.
Yeah, I'll send you an email, Paul.
What are you doing right now, Paul?
I'm at a volleyball tournament today.
Nice.
This is my life. My daughter does travel volleyball, so we go all over the damn place for volleyball. And then Colin and I are going to the New York Pro next weekend. So
Oh shit.
yeah,
That'll be so cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that.
yeah, I got a client competing, and then Justin's got a client competing there as well. So I don't know if he needs help. I'll be there if he needs any.
What do you guys think about who's gonna win? There's been a lot of people that dropped. There's been like 2 people that dropped out that I thought were gonna, like Carlos Thomas.
Yeah.
I thought he was gonna walk away with that show, to be honest. But
Man, Nate Spear looks fucking good, man. Have you followed him on Instagram? Well, Justin's client, have you seen him, Joe? Little Joe?
yeah, that's true. That's true. He's fucking
Looks
getting
insane.
big, man. This past 2 years, he's got
270.
Yeah, he's gotten
Yeah,
huge.
he's 5'10" and 270 going into the show.
His posterior chain has just grown like like his fucking hammies and glutes, man. It's crazy.
He was showing the before. I mean, from this year to last year, I had like some other coaches arguing with me about how the rebound is not real. There was I don't want to mention names, but there were some other coaches that one of my clients sent me a video from another coach trash talking. I think he was talking about us, but they're talking about me and Justin. But that it's just fake weight. It's just water weight after the show, and I'm like, the muscle is 75% water.
Yeah,
that's real weight, right?
right. Like your weight is going up, but as long as like I still have abs in like my lines, my hamstrings and shit. Like if the weight's going up, you're growing some tissue, and it's disproportionately it's going to be muscle. Like if you are able to maintain a good composition. So that argument's just silly because you see it so many times in practice, and it's one of those things where you can maybe be analytical and believe in like the bro science, or you can maybe actually just read a paper on it. And because there's like the data says that like after a show and being that low in body fat, like your propensity to incite adipogenesis after that is much higher. So you shouldn't take advantage of that rebound period. But I just don't see that ever.
I had this one guy telling me it doesn't translate to real stage weight. And I'm like, dude, I was 50 pounds heavier on stage 1 year later.
Yeah, you got the pictures, man. You got the fucking receipts. Like
It's
that's
like,
the thing.
I don't know what to tell you, man.
Like if my traps looked like this, like in December, and now they look like it's just like, what are you talking about, man? Like that's crazy. You see it all the time too.
I gotta show you Justin's client, Little
I looked
Joe.
at Nate's
I mean,
pics, and he is shredded.
Yeah, Nate looks good.
About 6% body fat right now.
Crazy.
This is Justin's client, Little Joe.
Yeah, he's fucking huge, man.
Jesus
What's
Christ,
competing this
man.
week?
Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
I remember when he was no offense to Patrick Tour, but I remember when he was with Patrick Tour, he kind of remained dormant for a while, and now it's just like he ignited something.
Well, Justin put like I think 20 pounds on him in a year, something like that.
Amazing.
You know what the
Look at this
difference
fucking
was
back.
between what him and Patrick did? Because I think Patrick was his last coach.
Yeah, this was one. I don't know what this is. 22 days out to 16 days out. That was 16 days out, but
I hate it when they put the before on the right. You know, like obviously the left should be before, but there's some people, and not professional bodybuilders, but they're lay people who will give you check-ins and they'll have before and after, and they'll put the before on the right.
Yeah, on the right
like,
side.
what is the fucking wrong with you? Do you read only in Hebrew? Like, why would you ever put the before on the right? Like,
I agree with you,
goes
Todd.
from left to right. We do timelines.
I'm with you, man.
Nate looks
That
ridiculous.
shit pisses me off too.
Yeah. It's cool because Nate's just like the grinder. Like, he's not like one to be so genetically inclined to just have this rapid succession of career.
Yeah.
But he's just put in the work year after year, and it's just like every year.
I mean, it's been
awesome.
He has a really nice shape, man.
They're so low, those lats.
Yeah.
And his waist came in so much. Maybe it's been small before, but I'm really noticing it now.
Look at the shreds in his back. Look at that.
Awesome.
Do you think that's Todd? Do you think that's because he's dieting more frequently now?
Fuck if I know. I would assume it's because he doesn't get as big. Like there's one where he's doing seated rows. Watch the video with him doing seated rows. That's crazy. Right there, yeah. Maybe that's not the right video, but yep, this is it. And it is nuts. This should be like an instructional video right here.
Decorate that Christmas tree.
Look at that.
Yeah,
I was mesmerized. I was like a deer in headlights.
Right there.
Well, that's how you do rows, man. Look how he lets his shoulders
controlled, yeah.
And he lets his shoulders is letting his scapula roll forward.
Right.
So many people don't know how to spread their scapula.
Yeah.
Or they're just bending over as they protract their scapula.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's able to keep the spine neutral, and he's able to protract and retract the scapula without doing any change in the lordotic arch of the spine. He's just got everything totally neutral, locked in at the hips, locked in the lower back, locked in the thoracic spine, and he's just rolling his scapula around his rib cage and then back together behind his rib cage. And his lats are along for the ride, but you can watch them contract because he's so lean.
Right. Yeah, so like when he pulls all the way forward right there, you can see his lower lats lengthen. That's what a lot of people don't get when they do these movements.
Absolutely.
I always felt this exercise in my lower lat. A lot of the new theory, like you have to do these two exercises for lower lats, which I do not feel in my lower lats as much as the old things I used to feel, which is just overhand pull-ups and bent rows, which I felt in my lower lats more.
Look how far he's progressed. That's from 2016.
Fantastic.
That's the Jay Cutler Classic. I mean, he didn't even look like the same dude. I mean, he is the quintessential grinder. I mean, he was in condition there, but he's definitely not. Doesn't have that.
He always shows up on point, but it's just like year after year, he just grows.
Andrew Barry coaches him, right? I think.
Yeah.
Right.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Andrew gets people in shape.
Mm-hmm.
I should get Andrew on sometime. But he definitely gets people in shape. Somebody was asking me if Roman's coming on. That's the rumor. I messaged him yesterday and he said he's got to get his workout in, but he would be on after he ate.
We'll see. We got a lot of good questions. Tonio Burton also, I forgot about that. He's competing too. I think he looks incredible. He looks really good. Tonio Burton. He's that 212 guy who just converted to open, but I think he's got a wild shape, but I just don't like his midsection. I don't know. Maybe that's a little rough, but
yeah, it's gotten better though. It's gotten better.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to. I haven't been to a pro show in a long time. I'm looking forward to going to one, man. It's this is going to be the first time in a while. And this is a good show too. This is probably outside of the Arnold. It's the biggest show, right?
Yeah.
You should come to one of mine.
I'll do it. I'll show
I'll
up.
come. Where are you competing, Todd?
First is Texas, so I expect Colton.
Oh shit! Yeah, I'm coming, dude.
It's
I'm
Dallas.
there.
It's like you're just an asshole if you don't show up.
Here's that guy, Tonio Burton. Man, he looks. His waist's a little wide, but
yeah,
fucking quad.
It's even that it's wide. It's just when he hits those like side shots that it comes out a little bit. It's distended. I think
that might be posing.
Superior, but
yeah, I think he could do a vacuum. You know, not that I'm not saying I'm in the same league as him, but I shouldn't be giving him advice. But I would, maybe there's a reason not to, but I would think if he did a vacuum on that front lat spread, it would look a little better.
I mean, he's got a fantastic physique. I mean, I don't want people to think we're criticizing these guys.
No.
They're all elite. I mean,
that's just the thing. It's like the small bits and pieces. You have to kind of tear just apart the 5% differences.
I'm sure he's thought.
Yeah.
So
look at their shoulders, man. Holy shit.
Jesus Christ.
But he's got that long torso. So if
look at his rear,
it's long. The torso's long.
I got the long torso.
His torso's
man.
long. His lat insertion's high. So in order, you got to do something with that block in the middle.
Look at those rear delts.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Thick.
3D.
Sorry.
So like there, when he bears down on it, let's go back to so when he bears down on it like that, it pushes the obliques out. And then right now, if you pause it, I don't know if you can.
Yeah, I don't think you can.
So it's
you can.
That looks great. The side shot.
Yeah.
And he's also not stage ready. Like you can see that he's about 8% right now.
Well, I don't know when this was from either.
And I personally, like, I noticed a huge difference with the midsection from even just like 8 weeks out to show day too. Just how
right here, he's got that rip up the middle, first of all. So he can't do a proper vacuum. I think right now it looks a lot better, but there's that big block where because the lats don't insert low, that in order to do something with that midsection to make it concave on the sides rather than convex, if he could throw his hips back more, that would help. Also doing a vacuum. And that wouldn't look better per se for the rest of the body, but it would change the midsection so it didn't look as long, I think. Same thing with right there is you can see where there's the tear in between the it's called the linea alba's torn. And so the rectus is separating. I think it's called diastasis recti. And
can they fix that?
Everyone I know, when they've had surgery to fix the diastasis recti, it just creates more problems and then it just re-tears.
Yeah.
So, for instance, I have a tiny one that I could feel tearing when I would do squats that were heavy and my core hadn't caught up yet. Let me give you an example. In 2022, I tried to the end of 2021, I tried to use weight I used before my Texas Pro prep. And I had only been squatting 300 pounds for a while. And I tried 400 to see how it felt. And I got a rep just fine, but I felt the tear widening in the middle of the rep. So even though prior to that prep, I could do 500 pounds, that since I hadn't done that type of weight for a very long time, the abdominal, transverse abdominis, the ab muscles were not strong enough to support that weight on my shoulders. So when I tried to jump 100 pounds, the legs had it in them, but the core did not. So one of the concerns I have now is, since I've been doing nothing but belt squats with no hip hinges and no bent rows, there's nothing loading my spine. So when I do the off season, I have to rebuild slowly, like put squats at the end with lighter weight, put bent rows at the end with lighter weight, and pyramid up so that the core can eventually regain lost strength. And then I can transition to putting it earlier in the workout and using real loads.
I like that.
Man, I had so many of my clients had the umbilical hernia surgery done last year. I must have had like 9-10 clients that had that surgery done. And then 2 of them, it didn't work.
Like at all?
Like it just blew back out.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Well, I mean, you have to ask yourself, why are you getting the surgery? Why did you have the problem in the first place?
Yeah.
And so if it's a lifting related injury and there's something wrong with the way the lift is being executed, then unless that lift is corrected, then the surgery isn't going to get around it. It's not going to be stronger than new.
almost everyone I had, people blew it out on deadlifts.
Well, then it makes sense to keep doing deadlifts. Like it's the lowest yield exercise you can do relative to the amount of strength.
The highest fatigue to stimulus ratio.
Yeah, the worst SFR in the entire universe, and they've now been crippled by it. So let's keep doing it.
Yeah, I don't know why people love deadlifts so much. Like I encourage my guys not to do them.
It's an ego thing. They
maybe
think
some stiff-legged deadlifts for hamstrings, but I mean, but like we'll do stiff-legged deadlifts either with the cables or the dumbbells, and that's it, man.
Well, I love doing those on the belt squat personally because I feel like I can get way deeper and keep my shoulders down.
With a belt squat, that's what I've been doing. This belt squat.
Yeah, no,
I was using Smith squat before. Hack squat really tears up my knees more than my quads. The Smith machine hits my quads without hitting my knees, but the limiting factor is really my core, right? Because, well, maybe your core gets stronger. I'm like, well, okay, but my core gets bigger as it gets stronger. So am I a bodybuilder or am I a power lifter? And you're not a power lifter doing Smith squats. So you just got to make up your mind. And if for people with short femurs, squats are awesome, leg press sucks. For people with long femurs, leg press is awesome, squats suck. So since I got short femurs, I should squat, but I also don't want to load my spine. That leaves belt squats.
Ben Yanes just posted a thing today about that, showing the lever of the leg and why some people love squats and other people don't.
Mm-hmm.
But it was exactly what you're saying.
But, I saw the podcast with him and Kassam, where Kassam kind of tore into him a little bit because people are assuming Ben's opinions are just, like a dollar theater version of the N1 protocols, and that there's a lot more nuance to optimal training. For example, a lot of people think that this is how you work the lat, right? Mm-hmm. And that is how a beginner works the lat. But if you're someone who's got large muscles and your rib cage is bigger, then there may be some actual body English that you can use to actually better stretch the lat. So what happens is these people do the N1 course, they get the beginner course for people with small muscles and low training age. Then they say all the bodybuilders are stupid and wrong because they're doing it wrong. And they don't understand that there's some nuance to where an advanced lifter is able to allow some body English to better optimize the firing of that muscle. Plus, some people have bigger rib cages and they have to wrap around the whole torso so that there's this to get the lat as you stretch it out this way. Then there's this as the contraction. A normal person would have to do two of these motions. But if you actually had some skill, you could rotate your torso into the lift.
Yep.
And they're not going to teach that on the first day of a seminar to somebody who doesn't really have the basics down. Because I'm sure you've trained somebody before who's doing curls and it's like this, and they're like all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you're like, this person has absolutely zero coordination. I'm certainly, if they can't handle doing a dumbbell preacher curl and I have to switch them over to a machine preacher curl, I'm sure as fuck not going to show them how to do an elevated cable curl with their elbow up.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the muscular control.
I find that rows are like the hardest thing to get people to do right. People can't figure out how to row. There's so many people that just row incorrect. We see it all the time at the gym, don't we, Colin?
Yeah, absolutely.
Lateral raises and dumbbell rows.
Yeah, lateral raises. Oh God, I have to stop myself like at least once a gym session from like running over to someone trying to fix their lateral raise. Yeah, exactly.
I was just I'm like, what the fuck is that doing, man?
Like I can't tell if they're doing lateral raises or starting the YMCA dance. You
know? Is that a scapation or is that a lateral raise? Oh.
I'm just
like, are you trying to hit?
You're using a lot of big words there, buddy.
Or the front delt. It's like, well, the delt that's on top is the one you're hitting. That is the middle delt. That is the front delt.
Right. So, it's hilarious. You brought that. We all thought the exact same thing. So it must be a universal truth.
Yeah, you've seen it too.
Chicken fat.
Yeah. All right. So we want to get some questions in.
We got a lot of good ones.
Yeah, we do. Let's just start at the beginning here.
Because if Roman comes on, the questions are over.
That's true. Roman comes on, it's now story hour with
story
Roman. We got one here. What's that?
Yeah, he's coming.
Oh, right on. We got one here from Jacob Widener. Sup, Big P. For your last show, did you pull HGH for peak week to bring a drier look? What do you normally do for your clients?
I dropped the HGH like Tuesday before the show, usually. And then the injectables like a week out. That's usually what I do.
Yeah, I do about 10 days just to regulate any sort of dysregulation. But some people don't need it. Like you know this kind of, if someone's bone dry and like you can play around with the peak protocols 2 weeks prior and see like, okay, well, like if we remove it, it does almost virtually nothing. Some people I'll keep in, or if like a guy runs really flat, like if you have like a tall slim bean, like
that's me.
I'll keep growth hormone in just so that there is maybe sacrificing a little bit of the edges, but we're getting more fullness.
This year, Justin and had me run it up closer to the show. I think we didn't pull everything until 3 days out. So
that too, like I always ended up flat and way disproportionately flat, and I flatten out. Me and Justin talked about that when I was on his First Division podcast, and Callum Raystrick was a guest on the J3U podcast, which was on Fuad's channel now, and they talked about water during peak week for a full 90 minutes. So if you could zoom in with the microscope and then hold the microscope up to that, it's like it was as precise as Luke and John normally are. And then Callum was on top of it, and they're going to Callum and like, what do you do for water? Because you're like the water master of that peak week water manipulation. And so they focus on just water for a whole hour. So Jacob, you might like that episode.
What was can you give us the Cliff Notes version of it? What was the conclusion?
I watched it too.
What Colton just said was that you don't have to pull the GH. You basically look at the client and you make adjustments, and there is no set in stone rules. Everything is basically an art.
Right.
Yeah.
It's all auto-regulated based on how an individual responds. And I think one of the cool things that Callum said that I never really thought about is in peak week, he'll keep water in. He'll just shorten. So let's say like on a Friday, instead of removing the water, he'll just make sure water consumption is done by like 1 p.m.
3 p.m. Yeah, that's what I usually do is I just
that's a cool idea.
In by 3 on Friday. I don't do
because then you're still performing diuresis. It's just you don't have water coming in and you have the same intake. So physiologically, the response will be the same.
Well, how do you swallow the dry ass rice?
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is he actually has a theory that you increase sodium in water while you're loading. And then in his protocols by Friday, he's done loading. So he wants them to defecate out whatever intestinal contents they have so they have a flat stomach. So there is zero loading on Friday. There's zero loading on Saturday. Yeah. But he actually has it calculated out so that the elimination rate is matched by a sipping rate. You don't do 8 ounces here, 8 ounces there.
Yeah,
it's like 1 ounce per. It's basically like 6 ounces an hour is what they have it, and then they have their sodium and whatever HCBD carbohydrates and amino acids mixed into their water. So he's basically doing like an IV parenteral drip, like you would for a comatose patient. But
that is a neat idea.
So that they're sipping on a certain amount of water, and that's. But they make the solution, pour it into a smaller container, and then use that container.
So there's no solid foods on Friday.
Well, I shouldn't say no solid foods on Friday, but I don't think on Saturday they do solid foods.
Yeah.
But okay, for the show.
You're not loading on Friday. Friday's back to your diet.
Yeah, I mean that's usually what I do.
The one thing they address is the potassium issue, that as you remove potatoes and you put in rice, you're going to lose potassium. And they both, John and Callum, found that chasing potassium doesn't really matter because you're not going to add in potassium tablets because it doesn't work, nor are you going to sub out the food for potatoes and then have them take 24 hours to eliminate potatoes, whereas rice gets absorbed.
Well, a lot of these guys are using potassium-sparing diuretics. Wouldn't potassium be an issue?
He addresses that. He doesn't like the aldactone because it's too long of a time window. He prefers to use Ursa Irva and the other stuff that you'd find in the over-counter products like.
All right, so just herbal.
Yeah. Dandelion root and Ursa Irva, and that's kind of like if he does that, he doesn't fuck with the water at all. He uses that as the variable. If he's going to go without any diuretics, that's when he starts playing with the water as a variable. He won't do 2 variables. And sodium, of course, is a 3rd variable. He never touches sodium.
Yeah, I've found that when you fuck with sodium, it just makes things worse.
So what he does is he actually has them buy the number of grinders for the entire prep. And then he has a certain amount of grinds per meal. He's like, this is your salt for the full 12 weeks.
Holy crap.
So I remember I started doing I measured out what 30 grinds weighed was 3 grams, right? So I was like, okay, so 1 grind is 100 milligrams of salt, and 100 milligrams of salt is about 38 milligrams of sodium. So I use that as a calculation, and I used to use grinds, but John uses teaspoons. So me and Karina switched to, for the clients, using teaspoons to measure our salts. After watching that, and I always stuck to the grind thing. I recalculated the teaspoon into volume, into milligrams, and then re-switched from the milligrams back to grinds for myself. But I assumed that people had an easier time measuring the teaspoon and sprinkling it on their food rather than grinding it. But now because it's more reproducible to use grinds. Because I used to pack the salt shaker with me and I would take it with me. Yeah. So I was using the same salt shaker because you don't really know what is the rate of sodium to grind ratio
for various brands.
Salt shaker.
Yeah.
Just like if I use cardio equipment, I'm going to use the same arc trainer. I'm not going to use arc trainer 1 or 2 or 4 or 5. I pick the arc trainer 3. And what's funny is there's a funny story about that. There is this hot girl walking on the treadmill. And I didn't notice really until she turned around and got mad at me and then grabbed her purse and ran away. And it was because there's no one else doing cardio. And I did cardio right behind her. So she thought I was picking that piece of equipment to stare at her ass, I guess. And I was like, nah, bitch, this is my arc trainer. I always use this arc trainer at this time. You're a newbie. That's why you've got your purse with you. What kind of fucking weirdo carries her purse around in the gym? But I always like, oh man, the good thing I'm not on camera because I totally would have gotten blasted for being a creeper.
Jesus Christ. I was just thinking about the salt grinder. I can't even trust people to measure out peanut butter or almond butter accurately. Good luck with it.
I was just going to say, like, this is for people. I wanted to add the caveat that this is for people who actually like are probably really competitive and give a shit. Most people this won't apply for. Like,
well, I pulled peanut butter and almond butter from at least women's diets in like 2011.
Oh my God, dude, that's such
because they will eat the whole jar. Yeah. And I remember I told Karina about this. She's like, no one's that stupid. And then she came back to me a week later and she goes, oh my God, everyone eats the whole jar.
Every fucking time.
Like, what the fuck is wrong with these people? Mm-hmm. I'm like,
you have to earn the right to get nut butters.
I was like, all these things that you say, I'm a misogynist. When you do this for a year, you're going to look back and be like, okay.
It's data collection.
I have to admit that he is right. This is exactly how it goes.
3 females I had prep this year and had almond butter, and the same fucking thing happened where they'd eat half the jar. Like, I'm sorry, we can't use it. Like, it's just not, keep it out of your house.
And people are like, why? I'm like, because it's got 3 grams of sugar per serving, which is more sugar than they have in a day.
Yeah. Do you guys run into this one too? This drives me fucking nuts too. Like, I'll have guys that aren't losing weight, and I'm like, all right, let's go through all of your food. And I'll go through and they're like, Coach, I'm eating chicken. And I'm like, what kind of chicken? Chicken thighs. Yeah. I'm like, motherfucker.
Yeah, I've had to make
chicken thighs every goddamn time.
So this is going to sound racist, and you can tell me not to go here.
Yeah, don't be racist, Todd.
All right, well, we won't. I'll just text the group or something because there was this funny situation that occurred involving chicken and a certain ethnicity that you wouldn't have thought this would really happen in real life, but it happened. And because they happen to be that ethnicity, then now it becomes racist to even repeat it. But if they were any other ethnicity, I'd be able to tell the story. It'd be funny and it wouldn't be a big deal.
I like my YouTube channel. Don't get me booted.
Such ground must be tread carefully. Requires a significant amount of nuance for a white guy to be able to make that joke and not get in trouble. Todd.
I literally give people, like, I try to do I'm almost like getting to the point where I don't know if I can do an if it fits your macros diet, but I give them an approved foods list.
I know,
but I'm getting to the point where I just don't think I can do that anymore.
No, I stopped doing that ever. What I found was, and this is going to sound like misogynistic, but if you give dudes an approved food list and a macro count, they will pretty much pick what they want to eat and they will stick to it. What I found is, because I normally have macros and the foods listed, so they have both, that this is what I want you to eat. These are the macros. A lot of them aren't smart enough to figure out, like, I can substitute things as long as I stick to the macros. What I found was, if I write a perfect diet and the woman loses a lot of weight and she's really happy with the results, and she's like, I'm really bored with the food, I want to change it. It's like, okay, here's the talk. Ready? Every single time I have this conversation with someone, they're like, no, I can do it. And then they fuck it up. But here you go. I'm going to give you the rope. Go hang yourself with it. I was like, you can substitute out.
Tina, you're an exception. Yeah. There are exceptions to everything.
They're like, I can do it. I was like, okay, you can substitute the foods for like food. So if you want to use any meat, you can just substitute out meat for meat. It's just that every ounce has about 6 grams of protein, and then the fat's variable. It ranges from 1 to usually 3 grams of fat for every ounce. It's like, and here is a chart. And then the same thing with the carbs is carbs can very much be substituted out for equal amount of carbs. Carbs are pretty much all just water and carbohydrates, and about 30% of the total weight is the carbs. And without a doubt, 100% of the time, their weight goes up as soon as they start playing with the foods and start trying to figure out how to weigh stuff out. Because what they do is they save their carbs to the end of the night, and then they blast something like chocolate cake or whatever. And then they
here's Roman.
Yeah, that's the problem I always have. What's up, Roman?
What's up, Roman?
What's up, man?
Roman, we have so many questions for you. People were hitting me up all week. So many things I need to ask you.
Oh God.
Yeah. The one I got asked multiple times, I think all of us did, is they told us we had to hear the apple diet story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell us about the apple diet.
So when I was in when I was younger, I was in I think it's called a boarding school. But it's not a Harry Potter like everything is nice boarding school. It was pretty fucked up boarding school. Okay, so basically where all the parents put their kids that they don't know how to deal with. So
here I think it's called reform school.
No, my mom put me there after my dad left, and I think I was 12 or so. 12. Yeah, 12. So I'm there and I want to I start, running and playing basketball and, doing sports and stuff. And I wanted to increase, to better my performance doing those endurance sports. So I bought a book. It was called Power Food for Maximum Performance. And all I basically got from the book was carbohydrates is good for performance. So all I could get in the cafeteria that was clean carbs, so to speak, was apples. And I was able to get unlimited apples. So me being an extremist, I went all out on the apples and I ate up to 60 apples a day.
Oh my God.
For real.
It's 750 grams of carbs from apples.
Awesome. I got in the morning with a hoodie, with a hoodie that has the kangaroo bag here.
Yeah.
And I loaded it up with apples. It looked like I was pregnant. I took as many apples as I could get in my hands and also in the sleeves of my hoodie.
That's awesome.
And then I ate like 10 of them. That was the first meal. Then later in school, I kept eating apples all the time. Apples. I did the same at lunch, and it always came out to about 50 or 60 apples. When I was home from school, it was sometimes on the weekends and on the holidays, I ate other fruits as well, like bananas and stuff. Sometimes they even had bananas in the group home. So I got really fucking skinny all of a sudden. My weight dropped. I got into boarding school at about 200 pounds when I was 12. And after a while, I was down to, so my lowest weight was 125 pounds.
Wow.
And the girls were like, man, what are you doing to lose all that weight? I want to do it too. The girls, they weren't interested in me. They were only interested in my dieting strategies, because they all saw me lose weight, like drop weight. Yeah. So they wanted to do it too. So they started eating apples as well. The mistake they made, they just ate the apples on top of the regular food. So that didn't work. And they also did not, they also weren't long distance running and playing basketball all day. So that is the apple story that went on for about almost a year.
So what's funny is I assumed that this was going to be some type of explosive diarrhea story, because all that fruit would be, your body wouldn't know what to do with it. It would just eject it.
No, honestly, my digestion was fine.
So does anyone else think that Kolton should do like a low budget film with an M60? Because he's got the green headband and the like I could just see him like leading people out of like a tiger cage in the jungle, and then just firing like blanks at people.
Absolutely,
them, like shake and fall down, but not. In
he's got like a bloody tampon in one nostril. It's Rambo First Blood.
He's just got to be like, and he's got like the belt tied, the bullets tied around one wrist, like that. It's just totally this Rambo look, but he's got the 70s stash and red hair. Just,
he's already got the girl sweating him. He's got a fan club. I don't know.
I do, man.
And the name of the movie would be Code Red.
He's like 50%. That's good. Pretty good. Code Red.
Or Red Alert would be the second one.
He's like 50% Rambo, 50% Robert Plant right now.
Oh, good. Sean says we should do a rate my physique like Fuad does. Man, Todd would hurt some feelings though. I think.
No, I would be nice. Remember when Branch did it, and Branch was super nice, and people were like, we thought Branch would be the meanest one, and he was the nicest one. No, I would probably be really nice because I'm pretty critical of myself.
I love. I don't know if you guys follow Ian Valieri on Instagram, but he'll do these Q&As, and like his answer for everything is don't be a pussy.
He's ruthless. I love it.
Roman looks like he agrees with that. He's like, it's a good answer.
That's pretty much his answer for every question somebody asks him.
I like that. Yeah. Roman, you've been an extremist, or not an extremist, but you've been extreme in your like approach to nutrition ever since you're like 12. Mm-hmm. The same mentality of eating 60 apples a day is like, like, is this Tren even real? I'm just gonna take the whole bottle in a shot.
Oh God. Do we want to get some more questions in?
Yeah.
We got a lot of good ones.
Yeah, we do.
Wait, are we doing rate your physique? I think that would be funny if people.
If anybody's brave enough.
Yeah, I doubt it for today. Maybe next week if we get some people brave enough.
Paul, you should drop a post and ask people to comment if they want their physiques rated.
Oh, on Instagram?
Yeah. Or just be like, feel free to submit physiques for being rated.
Yeah, if you guys want to message me on Instagram, I've got my Instagram open. We can take
right now.
Yeah, why not?
Because you got Roman, who's a pro, and technically I'm a pro. So you got two different pros.
I'm a national pro so far. So
you are?
Yeah, I'm a PNBA pro.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It doesn't mean shit, but it's
it does for posing.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, it's enough.
It's enough.
It's enough.
I'm gonna do Masters USA's this year. See if I can get my old man pro card. We'll see how it goes.
That shit, dude.
I need to take 15.
Why not the North American or Masters Nationals? Why are you going to go all the way to Los Angeles?
I'm putting it off until the end of the year because of this shit, volleyball. I can't really contest prep while I'm traveling for volleyball every weekend.
Got a question here from Peso Pesado Coaching. I've been dealing with swelling and bloating at different HGH doses, 2 to 8 IUs. I need to take a step back. Do you guys think starting with 0.5 IU and titrating up every week, half IU is a better / safe way to go?
Well, I mean, if you're really bloating at 2 IU, that doesn't sound right. That sounds like there's something wrong with the GH. Like it's not real GH.
Yeah, or like you're getting an allergic reaction, or potentially like maybe you have your phenotype is like you hyper excretes. You fuck with your RAS system too much, essentially. You know, could be a potential, but I've just never seen that. That's crazy.
I would totally just I would take a whole bottle and then 90 minutes later have your blood drawn. So you have to time it correctly. And it's really a window of 90 minutes to 180 minutes. And then check to see what your GH level is and your IGF-1. So the IGF-1 is not going to change acutely, but the GH level is a very acute change. So if your GH level isn't 30 after shooting a whole bottle of 10 IU, then that means that it's not real GH. Or if it is, it's shit GH if it's lower than that. And then you should find a better GH source, because 1 unit of real GH might be better and probably wouldn't have this problem. Yeah. Kolton, you mentioned you were using 15 units a day for the past 2 weeks. Yeah. And your only issue is pumps. So you're not having edema issues from that?
I mean, around my eyes and shit, that's like the most annoying thing. But I'm also eating a fucking ass load of food too.
But what about sleepiness? Are you really sleepy?
I mean, like kinda. You know, I think I fucking have sleep apnea and shit, so that can alter, you know, your mechanics of being awake. But it's not a big deal. Like, it's really not that bad. The most annoying thing for the pumps.
Paul, you have a CPAP machine and you were still falling asleep all day?
Yeah.
And that was on 15 units after just 2 days.
Yeah. I was so fucking tired. Right, I did take it. Maybe I'm a dumbass, but I did take it all in one dose at night.
What were you doing, Colton? Did you split it up like Roman?
I'll do 3 in the morning and then the rest at night.
All right. So it sounds like to me that you guys have genetic predispositions to particular side effects, but both of the experiments prove to be the same, that you can bear the unbearable side effects, but you cannot bear the side effects. So maybe the optimal doses for each of you is lower. And then this guy is getting an extreme amount of puffiness, which is neither what you guys are getting, at a dose as low as 2 IU. Do you have any ideas, Roman?
The question is, was that the only variable he was changing?
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? Was he taking 8 IUs with 20 IUs of Humalog? Was he taking 2 IUs with was he not taking any insulin with the 8 IUs? Was he taking insulin with the 2 IUs? That's what else was he taking that was holding water? And how was his diet? You know, that's basically a question you can only speculate about.
Right. Yeah, so just get better drugs, maybe.
I don't know if with everything being equal, so no other variables change. There has to be a sweet spot that if you go over it, you're gonna get the bloating side effects, you know, and that should be, I don't know, maybe it's 5 IUs, 4 IUs. I can't imagine that there is that once, like I said, everything being equal, once you bloat up at 2 IUs, and then 3 months later, everything is the same. You blow up at 6 IUs, and then you blow up at 8 IUs, and at 6 IUs, everything's fine. And, you know, so
you're saying he might build up a tolerance to it and the side effects go away, and then he can then advance the dose.
I don't think that I don't know if that works.
I found that kind of worked for me. Like the doses I couldn't handle 10 years ago, I can handle now. But obviously that's a long time
overall. Is that because you're bigger overall, do you think? Or
that's actually a very good point, that the volume and distribution is greater. So obviously the amount I can handle is greater. At 150 pounds or 160 pounds, 6 IU is too much, but now at 200 pounds, 6 IU is easy.
Right.
He updated what he's taking there.
So 1,000 milligrams a test. Holy shit.
Yeah, I think
I don't know
if you started this all at once, I would postulate that. I don't know. I mean,
man, that's a lot of metformin.
He did all that, and then he introduced the Genotropin, and that's when he became puffy.
That's weird to me that you would start like the Genotropin last when Genotropin would be the second drug. So I would knock that test down to like 400 and then use something easier to fill in the gap, like EQ if you can't afford Primo or Masteron.
The Genotropin has a diuretic in it. So if this is real Genotropin, he should probably even get harder.
So Genotropin does have a diuretic. Okay, because I know Humatropin does, but we figured out Serostim does not.
There is mannitol in Genotropin.
Oh, it is? Okay, because mannitol is what's in the Humatrope too.
So he should get harder, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it maybe. Well, he's taking 40 milligrams of Sartan, so that's not.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You can't really answer that question.
Yeah, it's just it's a tough one. I think it's probably, who knows? Maybe it's fake shit, but
you can easily tell if your Genotropin is fake. If you inject it, you immediately get this taste in your mouth. It tastes like when you open a new Band-Aid, the smell, and that's what you get when you breathe out after a couple of seconds. If that doesn't happen with your Genotropin, it's fake.
That's really cool.
Funny. It's like Genotropin's real because my breath smells like used Band-Aids.
Like when you open a new Band-Aid, that
sort of like plastically, chemically smell.
No, that's funny that you say that because it's similar to how a taste I get when I use Humalog.
Yeah.
That there's a certain taste you get when you use
but it's a Humalog taste or tastes distinctly different.
Right.
Different. Yeah.
I've never noticed that with Humalog. Of course, I can't taste worth a shit after having COVID, so I probably don't even notice it.
It definitely helps Paul out at the gym.
Oh, I said the C word. I'm not supposed to say that.
When we're lifting, he's now become immune to all of my protein farts. So
and your BO
and my BO since COVID.
My favorite is when someone drinks egg whites, and then you walk across the gym. You're like, "Have you been drinking egg whites?" They're like, "Yeah." How can you tell? And it's like, because you just gassed the entire room with. It's like, never do that again. You have to cook them. When it goes from clear to solid, when it goes from translucent to opaque is when the egg white is digestible. It is not digestible when it's clear.
I've got Dr. Tina. She wants us to look at her physique. She's 62, and I think she's going to do her first.
Is this the one you told us about from your gym?
No, it's a different.
No, that's Michelle. Dr. Tina's going to do bikini, and this is her first time, and she's 62. I think she looks great for 62. Fantastic.
Wow. For 62, yeah.
Yeah,
awesome.
Fantastic. Yeah, defying age.
Yeah, we should all hope to be in such good shape at 62.
How far on?
She said she just started.
Oh, this is her starting point?
Yep.
Pretty awesome.
So I think aside from glutes and of course continuing to diet, that's pretty much all she would have to worry about. I don't see any gross deficiencies in the muscle bellies.
Yeah, she's got great shoulders and arms for bikini.
Yep. The chest, everything is balanced except we just need glutes on there.
Yeah, I think it'd do really well.
Excellent.
Is she your client, Paul?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
She's just a fan of the podcast, y'all.
Okay, cool.
not my client.
Oh man, I'm about 20 apples deep so far this morning. I think I need to step away for a moment. Be right back.
This is Tomas. He is one of my clients. I'm gonna bring him up.
People are doing it.
Hang on. Let's see here. Tomas is young. He's just a kid, but we're just getting started.
How old
is he?
I don't remember how old he is. 19, something like that.
Okay.
Good chest shelf. It's got prominent middle delts, good quads.
He's got the long torso like me.
Yeah.
Is he taking stuff already?
I'm not going to say on the air. I'll leave that up to him.
Yeah, he needs to stop injecting his side delts. Yeah, because if you have the little mushrooms going already at 19, it's not going to get any better at 25.
Yeah. Do you have any other shots, like back shots or anything?
Yeah, hang on.
On that pose, he probably wants to throw his hips back more to stretch out the abs.
Hang on, let me find a back pose. Let's see if he. There we go.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely needs to work on his lats, I think, and posterior chain in general, glutes, hamstrings.
That's everybody that's young.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
and calves.
Roman, do you think calves are really judged that much? I just saw there's the Bionic guy that competed in Classic at that latest show this weekend, and he placed pretty high, but he doesn't have fucking calves. And I was like, do people actually judge calves?
No, actually, I don't think so.
Okay.
Jean-Pierre Fuchs said in a podcast once that one of the judges told him after a show that they're sitting so close to the stage they can't even see the calves.
That makes sense. The stage cuts off there.
Yeah, the stage cuts. Yeah, I never even considered that. Huh. That is a fair point.
So not at all shows, but they can't even see the calves sometimes. So I guess not. But I think honestly, it looks better. It
That's
just
my best body part.
Yeah, it does.
It's like
and it is. Yeah,
I would, it sucks that my best body part is something the judges literally can't even see. That's like saying you've got a good heart. It's an invisible muscle.
I can pull up my fat ass off-season pics if I can find them.
I just posted mine on my story.
I just posted my update as well today.
Yeah, I saw your update. It's amazing.
How far out are you?
5 weeks exactly.
5 weeks.
Yeah, you look fucking nuts, man.
I think I'm 15.
But I can't lose any more weight now. I'm already.
What are you doing now? Because trying to hold on to weight, like what is your method?
I'm just gonna go increase my carbs back up. I was at 700. Then I did 650 last week for a couple days. Then I dropped a couple pounds, actually, 8 or 9 pounds.
From fucking 200 calories?
What the fuck, man?
You dropped 8 pounds from 200 calories?
Yeah, we talked about that on text, remember?
What?
I think
I thought that was before this past week.
It took me 2 weeks. Sorry.
Okay, 2 weeks. Okay.
Because the last update I sent or I posted is from 7 weeks out.
Right.
So I went from 700 to 650, and now I'm 262. Yes, 262, and so from 270 to 262, and I can't go any lower now. This is the bottom. I gotta go up, hold it at like 268, 265, somewhere around there, just increase my carbs back to maybe 900 or so. Just check every morning and then do the last 5 weeks like that.
All right. So your height is 5'11", right?
Yeah.
All right. So you're 36.5 BMI.
Okay.
What was your best look?
My best look last year was exactly as much as I weigh right now.
So 262?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you want to just hold this exact look. All right. And if you recomp for 5 weeks, you'll theoretically lose a pound of fat, and gain a pound of muscle by increasing your carbs. All right.
And the Tren.
Oh, what's your Tren at right now?
I started it actually.
Oh, you just started it. Okay.
Yeah, I started. I will do 75 Tren hex.
Oh.
Every day.
Well, you're gonna do every day, so you're gonna go up to 500 a week.
525.
Okay, so you're gonna start at 525, and you're not gonna titrate up. You're just gonna start right as 525 because it takes 4 weeks for it to kick in anyway.
But I dropped Primo.
Okay.
I put in Mastron because I think Mastron gets as the enanthate. This gets me kind of harder. I don't know why. It's just drier than Primo.
It's supposed to be more androgenic than Primo slightly. Yeah.
So my stack right now is Test, Mastron, Tren.
So you just dropped all the Primo, put in an equal amount of Mastron, and then just added 525 Tren a week.
Yeah.
And then we're going up on calories. What are you going up to? 700 again, or going 750?
Nah, I also dropped EQ. I had EQ in before.
How much? Well, that's not going to be out. Yeah, that's going to take forever to bleed out. So
60 days for it to clean out. Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got 35 days. You'll basically still be at a quarter or half concentration by the time of the show. Yeah.
And then I'm going to do that for 5 weeks, see what happens. And the next show after that is in Portugal. That's 3 weeks later.
Now, are you going to just keep this Test Tren Mastron going the whole time for the other 3 weeks?
Because I don't know yet. Probably not. I want to do a little bit, like a couple experiments, So I'm going to decide then. I'm just going to keep coming on the podcast and then update everyone.
Okay, sounds good. Because I would think that as the EQ bleeds out, you will get sharper but flatter, but you'd be titrating between the two shows, that is, and then you could titrate up on the carbs to get fuller, so you would just be drier by the second show than from the first show because you've replaced the EQ with more carbs as you went. Because if you kept the Tren in, if you pulled the Tren, I mean, it wouldn't really be out of your system by the second show anyway. You pretty much will just leave it in the interim because the Hexatren, it's 6 different Trens, right? It's
Tren Hex.
Oh, it's just one of them. Okay, so that one I think has, what is it, like a 10-day half-life? So it's going to be as long as EQ to ramp up, and it's going to be as long as EQ to bleed out. I think there's a reason why people report no side effects with the Tren Hex, but they get tons of side effects with the Tren Ace. Tren Ace is like this. Even if you shoot it every day, your levels aren't the same hour to hour. It's practically an oral. Whereas with the long-acting Trens, they overestimate how much they need. So with Tren and Athate, it starts to hit them, and it's already got side effects, then they have to pull it, and they will continue to have those side effects for weeks. Tren Hex, people respect it and they use less typically. People always start their Tren and Athate with like 600 milligrams, whereas with Tren Hex, people are usually doing 225 a week.
Man, that's a really long ester. I don't like fucking with that long ester.
Oh, I only take long esters.
Really?
Well, yeah.
I guess it depends on how long is long. So like to me, a good blend would be NPP because it's got like a 3-4 days. So you can, if you need to pull it because it's an emergency, you can pull it. Whereas something like EQ it takes 72 days to ramp up and 60 days to bleed out. That you're committed 4 or 5 months minimum.
I mean, Tren Hex is a 14-day half-life, if I recall correctly.
It's that long. So it's going to
be... and then it's 5 half-lives to eliminate. So you're looking at 70 days for it to eliminate if you run into issues.
Well, that's 5 half-lives is to get to a quarter life.
To get to a quarter life. Yeah, you're right. Yep.
Right.
Actually, it should be 3 half-lives to get to a quarter amount. It goes 25.
No, 12, I think it's 5.
25, 6. And then from 6, at the 5th half-life, will take it down to 3%. In theory, it's never going to be out of your system. They can still drug test you 2 years later.
Not like it matters.
There's traces in it.
Roman, when you're doing like back-to-back shows, are you typically staying on cycle? Like, let's say if you have 3 or 4 shows in a row, like what's your method?
Yeah, I'm not going off, definitely.
Okay.
But I think last year there was I had a gap of 6 weeks between a few shows.
Yeah.
And then I took out orals. I'm not taking any right now.
Right.
And I took out Tren, and then I started the Tren back up a week out from the first show that was coming up again.
Yeah.
With the ACE.
So it kicks in faster.
And funny thing is, sometimes I look better once all the compounds, drizzle out. I start looking better, but it could also be that I'm not stressing as much anymore.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
Well, the funny thing about that statement, though, is that the drugs themselves cause stress.
Yeah.
It's just not emotional stress, but all stress gets pooled up into a total stress. There's physical, drug stress, emotional stress, diet stress, and it all gets added to total stress.
Yeah, I think so.
And I didn't used to really believe in that. I used to think that they were all separate and they don't really stack, but I guess they all factor in fatigue, all that stuff.
But right now I'm really calm about that show. I'm just going to go in, do my best, see what happens, win, and then do the next one.
That's awesome.
Do you ever look to see who's doing the show also?
No, but people always put them in front of my face.
They're just like, hey, look who's going to beat you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, thanks, Dick. I was confident.
I think it's best just not knowing. The battle's with yourself, to be honest. I don't care who the fuck's there.
Yeah, and yet there's no that was a saying Tom Prince always used. There is no defense in bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
So knowing your opposition is an advantage. It's just a potential disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
There's no defense in bodybuilding. That's great. I've never heard that one before.
I assume Keon's doing Texas, which, then you're just like, okay, so we're fighting for second. And I know John Jewett's doing Texas. So it's like knowing that isn't helping me, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, because there's no shame in respecting people. And it's an honor to get to be on the same stage with people you look up to. But on the same hand, it isn't going to bolster confidence. I remember this year, the 2021, there's 4 people who competed in Puerto Rico in the 212, and the guy who won was 53. So had I jumped in that show, I don't think I would have won, but I might have gotten second, third, fourth. I mean, like, the Puerto Rico is not, you don't even need a passport to go there, to my understanding. So
18 units of Serostim and bolster your confidence.
Well, I mean, from what I'm gathering, based on our previous conversation with Roman, that we can probably do the Genotropin, and if there is let's say there's a threshold effect at 12 units, I can't handle any more than Metatrope, I can fill in the gap with Novartis because the prescription stuff is supposed to be less side effect heavy. And then
if there is a diuretic in it.
Well,
if there is a diuretic in it.
That was the part that I didn't make sense to me that now made sense, because I said the same thing before, was the prescription stuff has diuretics in it, so they can cancel out the bloating effect of the Chinese. And then the Serostim does not have the diuretic, but now what you're saying about the Genotropin makes a lot of sense. So the Novartis, I don't think has it, not at the price, but the Genotropin does. Yeah. So I guess 15 units of Metatrope and 3 units of Genotrope might cancel out.
Can't you just get a mannitol powder, mix it in backwater, and inject it?
Yeah, but at that point, I might as well just take an Aquazide, because then I don't have to inject it. I've got it. But that's a good point. Why pay the extra money just for the diuretic in the GH when you could just take a diuretic? See, look at the big brain on Roman.
Everything's big on Roman, man.
Everything's
big muscles and big brain.
Nah, I don't know about that. Neither one.
It's the apples. Eat enough apples at a formidable age.
He never had to see a doctor again in his life after eating all those apples.
That's right.
All right, you want to grab a couple questions?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's see what we got, Colin.
Yeah. Since we got Roman on, we got a Roman question. Does Roman use insulin on prep?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Do you get hungry on prep, Roman? Because you're eating like fairly large amounts of food, but I mean, for you, it's probably not as much, obviously, as typical.
I'm not really hungry.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
it depends. I have days where I'm really hungry, actually, and then I have other days where I'm not, and I don't know what that depends on. But some days I'm starving, and other days it's just they just go by. But I'm never like, in the past I used to. Okay, I can eat at 4. I can eat again at 7, and then you would just look at the clock all the time. I can eat in 90 minutes. I can eat in 80 minutes. I can eat in 70 minutes, and that's how you live your life. That's not anymore. That's gone.
How much do you move a day? Do you like walk a lot? I mean, like,
I do one 10-minute walk because Stan Efferding said it was good after my 3rd meal.
But the rest of the day you're staying inside. You're not moving around too much.
Yeah,
that's fucking crazy.
What do you do when you're not working out? Like, do you just when you're chilling at home? What do you do to entertain yourself?
I sleep, or I watch Netflix.
Watch Netflix. What are you watching lately?
I always go. Lately, I'm always going for stuff that is no brain activity needed.
Okay.
So something like 911, emergency fire department stuff. It's just in the background.
Right.
Sometimes I fall asleep and I miss the whole episode, and then
that's cool.
So did you we talked about Dogs of Berlin before. Did you actually watch that?
Yeah.
So you might like Gangs of London. So I thought Gangs of London was one of the best crime shows, and I think it's pretty underrated.
On what channel is it?
It's on AMC Plus.
So I don't have it.
I know you don't have it, but
have you watched?
Rotate. Well, you could finish watching everything you've got on what you got, like Hulu, for instance. You can put a hold on your Hulu, put it on AMC Plus, and watch all the Walking Dead, all the Fear of the Walking Dead, all the Hell on Wheels. You might like Hell on Wheels. Tear through. I don't know if you probably won't like Interview with a Vampire, but Interview with a Vampire is actually much better than the movie. And then watch Gangs of London, and then after that month, you can just cancel your AMC.
Babylon Berlin is great if you haven't seen that. It's a German show.
Babylon Berlin?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's about the 1920s. It's kind of like a cop crime show. It's the 20s in Berlin. Like it was just kind of a weird, after World War I, it was like a weird time. in Germany. All right, I got Tom here. He wants us to rate his physique. Let's
this one. Oh, it's a different person.
Let's see here. Tom.
Well, that's some good structure. Holy shit.
Yeah, Tom's got really good structure.
His arms are big. His quads are big. His waist is small.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a good vacuum going.
Let's see his back.
The calves aren't matching the quads.
Yeah, calves are a little small.
And then the lats don't seem to be caught up with the delt development on this shot.
Oh, he's got a great physique.
He looks a little bit like Jason Huh without the calves.
Did Jason have a small waist? I thought Jason had a big waist.
Jason had actually, I think he had a pretty good waist, if you ask me.
I'll have to go back and look. For some reason, I thought he had a big waist.
He just didn't have any deep abs.
Now, he won the USA in what, 2013, 2012?
I think in 2010.
Oh, was that early? Okay.
10 or 11. I think it was 11. Might have been 10. 10 or 11. I think it's 10.
It's going to bug me. People think I'm texting somebody. No, I'm looking things up as we're doing stuff, this whole thing.
Colin, you got another one for us?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. Dominic wants to know if we believe that you need to do pull-ups to get a good back. What do you guys think? Yay or nay?
It's my favorite back exercise, but I don't think you have to do it.
Going back to Jason Huh, he would say definitely yes.
Because Jason Huh was all about the stretch position.
Sometimes he would do pull-ups only for an hour straight.
Wow.
With all types of different grips and,
I tore my damn labrum doing pull-ups.
Well, you're 280 pounds.
Yeah.
He was on the assisted machine too, though, Todd.
Oh, really?
He was. He still managed to tear. It was probably mostly torn, honestly.
I wasn't using the assisted.
Oh, I thought you were using the assisted one to tore it. No, never mind.
At 200, I use the assisted on like the full minus 100, just so I get the squeeze at the top, the slow eccentric, the stretch, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, Dominic, you should do the exercises that you feel the most in your back, that you can connect with the most.
But if you can't feel pull-ups, start doing assisted. And one thing I do is I use the D handles, like the ones with the fabric, not the metal ones, and I throw them on there so I have the ability to rotate my wrists so that I can feel it wherever I want to feel it.
That's a cool tip.
A good idea.
I can do it here, or I can do it here. And the other thing is, as you go through the range of motion, you'll internally rotate, and then you can externally rotate the humerus.
Our gym
you won't be able to come up any higher than this and get your lats unless you internally rotate. But if you've got D handles, you can do that very easily.
Our gym has it on the squat rack, Colin. I don't know if you ever noticed, but they have those handles that you can do pull-ups with like that.
Oh yeah, and we also have those prime grips for the lat pull down that rotate as well. We should try those out sometime.
What do you guys think? I got to the point where I felt like I got more out of doing kind of a medium or narrow grip pull-up versus the wide grip. I felt like all I felt in the wide grip was my biceps.
So when I do the wide grip, I would feel the brachialis and the brachioradialis, not the biceps per se. But if I do it on the assist, what I can do, let's make sure I not going, is I can do that.
Yeah.
And that way I get my lats. Otherwise, what most people do when they do pull-ups, if you watch them, is they do this. They just do an upper back row. They're not actually, you start upper back, but you start to externally rotate the humerus, which really brings your elbows in close as you go through the range of motion. And then obviously, if you can supinate as you do that, you can turn it. It starts as a wide row and it turns into a narrow one. So you can start with the upper back in the stretch position, and then once the lats are able to be engaged, you can use the lats to finish the motion.
That's a good idea. Here's my big ass in the off season.
Hell yeah.
That's quite the structure. You've got feathered quads on the left side in the off season.
280.
And then you've got airbrushed on abs with body hair. Like
I carry all my fat on my back, man. The judges told me last year I needed to bring up my hamstrings and glutes. We've really been focusing on that.
Well, your adductors are huge.
Yeah,
you can see.
You know what? I don't understand why your hamstring. Go back to the side pose. I don't understand why your hamstrings aren't bulging out, because
I think it's posing.
Yeah, normally with the adductors that thick.
Yep.
By pushing the front leg against the rear leg, they should push out the hamstring.
It's my shit posing.
We got a question that leads right into this here from Josh M. His back hair in the off-season anabolic. We have the expert on right now in Paul Barnett.
my girlfriend made me shave it. She's like, I'm not having sex with you anymore.
I was actually going to say that indirectly it's anabolic, because the hairier your back, the less time women are going to want to spend with you. The more time you have to focus on paying for your GH.
She literally like made me shave my back before she would have fun
Everything
time
you
with
do
me.
that pushes women away is indirectly anabolic.
Oh man, that's funny. What do we got, Colin? I'm probably gonna have to hop off soon. By the way, guys, I gotta go to this volleyball tournament.
That's fine.
How's she doing? How's your daughter doing?
Great. She told me today she wants to start doing powerlifting. So
interesting.
I need to connect her up with somebody. I need to find, because I don't know shit about powerlifting.
Well, you could connect her with Dave Tate, since you guys are
That's
buddies.
Yeah.
Like start with Yoda himself. You know.
Yeah, Dave is the man.
Dave is the man. This was a question Jack got in before we even started the stream. He's interested to know about using straight injectable DHT, no ester, as a pre-workout alternative to a test suspension because it's an estrogen bomb.
I would say if you want DHT as a pre-workout, just put Anavar under your tongue.
Just don't.
Just don't.
We know what works. That's my thing. Is like, we know what works. Why just don't make it so complicated.
Don't reinvent the wheel, Jack.
Maybe this isn't a serious question.
Or
I think it's a serious question. He asked it twice, so
take some Anadrol.
That implies he already did it, and he wants validation.
I think Anadrol is probably the ultimate pre-workout, right?
I actually prefer Anavar, to be honest. I don't know why.
Yeah, I do too.
It's such a
Anavar under the tongue, man. You get to deliver the whole payload in like an hour or two.
Ask Colin about I'll run some Anavar pre-workout a couple of days a week, and my strength just goes through the roof.
Yeah, it's upsetting for me because I can't keep up.
I was just like doubling my weight on.
I was like adding plates. I'm like, God damn it.
So, to answer Tina's question, although women have been using Anavar for years at about 5 milligrams a day or more, that's actually gross overkill. That the correct thing to do is to use the appropriate amount of testosterone to raise your testosterone level to somewhere between 50 and 80. And that'll put your DHT between about 10 and 15. And that's enough to optimize without androgenize. To put in perspective, 3 milligrams of testosterone a week is about appropriate for a woman, but Anavar is dosed usually for girls to start at 5 milligrams a day, which means that women are doing 10 times as much Anavar as they should be doing.
Oh, wow. That's a good point.
And that's why girls they'll look good the first year, then they can't do bikini the second or third year because they look too butch. And people will say it's because your muscles are too big. And I've dealt with this a lot in the last 12, 15 years because I just found out about the appropriate way to dose the testosterone recently. But for like 10 years, I just refused to use Anavar on girls because even that tiny dose of 5 milligrams a day drastically changes their face in about a year or two. And the fucked up thing is women can't see the difference because it's androgenizing. They think they look better because let's put it in perspective. A heterosexual woman is attracted to masculinity. So as their faces get more masculine in a very subtle way, they start to look better to them. However, heterosexual men are attracted to femininity. So we can see that a girl's not as pretty as she was in her pictures 2 years ago, but there's nothing you can point your finger on and say, this looks different for this reason. It's just minute, tiny changes that add up to a huge thing when it comes to a reproductive physiology standpoint. And when you take into consideration bikini in particular is a feminine division, then anything you take that makes you less feminine is going to hurt your ability to perform in that sport. So it would be, yeah, so that's the simple answer is although Anavar is considered to be safe for women, it's safe for women relative to other oral DHTs. But the best thing for women is to just use testosterone replacement therapy and keep their testosterone under the normal physiologic limit of about 80. But if you ride that 80, you should be an incredible athlete. I mean, let's put things in perspective. Serena Williams probably doesn't have over 100 testosterone. And that is one of the most decorated athletes of all time. Venus and Serena are probably the female equivalent of Michael Jordan. So, I'm sorry, did someone speak?
Yeah, I did, but go ahead.
Oh, I think I was done.
If she's a doctor.
Yeah.
She's a or like a not like a medical doctor.
She's a PhD and a master of public health.
Ah, okay. I thought I would just give myself a growth hormone prescription.
Yeah. Well, that's another alternative motive is you could use. I don't have a huge issue with Anavar, especially if it's at like 2.5 milligrams per day.
Yeah. 0.5 or 5?
2.5.
2.5. Okay.
Yeah. And then comparing that or combining that with something like even just 1 unit of GH can be
exactly.
And I totally agree with the GH thing. And when I do HRT for women, I usually do 0.5 milligrams, 0.5 of testosterone and 1 unit of GH a day.
Oh, she's on growth one. Awesome.
GHG, what the hell is GHG?
We're like immediately like, oh, there's something I'm not doing. I got to go out and find something.
She said she's on 1 unit.
All right, good. Yeah, so I usually start women. Obviously, I do blood work first, make sure they meet it. But then the 1 unit of HGH and 0.5 milligrams of testosterone, which is really, they don't really make that. You have to have it made for the woman.
She's already using testosterone too.
Okay, so if that's absorbing well enough, that should be enough. I mean, if you know what your peak, what your blood concentration is, then we can make a decision based on that. If not, then I would get your blood work done, or if you don't know who can do it, I can do it, and then we can evaluate it from there.
Yeah, but she definitely doesn't need extra Anavar then.
I don't think that's necessary. And now that doesn't mean that it couldn't be beneficial for 6 weeks at the end of prep like she asked. But first step is make sure that the testosterone is optimized. Because
it's not fucking worth the plastic trophy.
Right. Of course, it depends on the level someone's competing at. At 62, I don't know if there's any pros competing. Like you could get a over 60 pro card. I don't know what one could do with the pro card, like what kind of sponsorship opportunities there are. Because in general, the pro card for women isn't really worth it, in my opinion, because there is no real sponsorship opportunities, nor is there really any cash prizes for women.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm a 212, so there's no cash prizes opportunities for me. But my marketability in other areas of fitness is enhanced by being an IFBB pro, specifically
for
being a
coaching and stuff.
pro. Even if I'm not winning, the fact that I'm still competing, I'm still relevant enough to where my advice has some type of credibility. What were you going to say, Roman?
If she looks awesome at 62, and let's say she wins a local show, she could market that with her good looks and her face, you know, combined with the body.
So
she could market that and make money off it. But if she looks like an ogre after, you know, then there is no market for this.
Yeah,
that's true.
Like I'll be honest, like even at 10 milligrams of Anavar a day, you don't see very acute effects. Especially, I think it's like more dose exposure, length of exposure.
I meant for people who use 5 milligrams a day for years,
year round. Yeah, like
that's when
if you're using it through 8-week periods of the year, like I don't think that's a huge issue. And like she said, it's for marketing, which I think is huge, and I completely support it. I think free bodily usage of what you want to do is so important.
What I found is that if a girl agrees to going on Anavar for 6 weeks, at the end of the 6 weeks, they won't come off of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's why the theory and the application don't match. I'd rather just never have them cross the line, because in my experience, a lot of girls, I'm not saying this about Tina, but in my experience, what they will do is they'll have some Anavar, they'll think they're bulletproof, then they'll go out and have margaritas and spinach cheese dip, right?
Yeah.
And then they felt like they got away with it, so they'll do it twice, and then they'll take more Anavar, thinking that more Anavar cancels out more margaritas and spinach cheese dip. And so what ends up happening is that they end up getting more muscular and fatter at the same time, and then they're no longer looking either pretty or feminine.
And then they look like
happen a lot with like thyroid and clenbuterol, especially. It's like
they have a cheat meal, then they take more. They think it cancels out, and it doesn't cancel out. It burns cancel out fat.
Eventually,
spinach cheese dip.
You're storming the walls of Gondor.
Yeah, I mean,
before you know
like an orc.
Roman said it, and it just put it in my head. The time of men is over.
Oh God!
I want to thank Tina for her continued donations to the Buy Colin and Air Fryer Fund too. Thank you, Tina.
Thanks, Tina. Count Grishnak. That's who you just quoted. Yeah.
Impressive.
Guys, I've got to eject. If you want to continue, you're more than welcome to do so. But I got a volleyball tournament to attend.
Well, we can roll on for a bit if we certainly have a few more questions, as long as everybody's interested in continuing to watch.
Todd, don't say anything too inappropriate.
Well, I think I've been pretty good this episode. I don't think I've used the R word, the F bomb, nothing. I'm trying really hard to be Disney approved.
I'll get dinged for saying the C word, the virus. That's the one that got me in trouble last time.
All right,
we wish Izzy success in her volleyball tournament.
All right, guys, take care.
See you.
Easy. Good old Paul.
Bye, Paul. All right, now we can talk shit about Paul. I was hoping he wasn't going to be here. I have stories lined up. I want to talk about him when he can't defend himself. No,
shit.
I just want to come up with a third movie to Kolton's trilogy. It's Code Red, Red Alert, Code Red 2, and then I want it to be called something like Oktoberfest.
Oh no, it's got to be one with the Russians. It'd be like Red Tide.
Yeah, the Red
Tide rises. The Red Tide rises. And so does a hero. Kolton is John Rambo.
It's fucking hilarious.
Got another Roman question here. I think we probably already know the answer to this one, but Black Kaiser wants to know, does Roman have cheat meals during prep, and how often?
So at least once a week. I just had one yesterday.
What do you eat for your cheat meal, Roman?
I can tell you what it was. I had a quart of ice cream. A liter. I had
That is
box.
the most.
I had
I've
a
never
box.
seen an ice cream container that shape before in my life. I'm sorry.
I know. What weird shape is it for an ice cream container? Instead of it being a pint, or it's like shaped like a, because they expect you to finish the whole thing.
You have it in the US. It's called I know you have it because I talked to Rich Piana about it, and he only liked the Ben and Jerry's and the Haagen-Dazs, but I like it's called it has like swirls in it and everything, you know.
I don't know, man. Ben and Jerry's and Haagen-Dazs are like top of the fucking line.
Yeah, and he said this one tastes like this one doesn't taste as good.
So let me ask you this: is Haagen-Dazs is Dutch? Is it called Haagen-Dazs and the Netherlands, or is it an American company that just has a Dutch name?
I don't know, but it's called Haagen-Dazs in Germany.
Okay. Is I don't think obviously they have distribution centers here. There's no way every pint of Haagen-Dazs is imported to the US.
Absolutely not, no.
Because like if you get, for instance, not that I drink anymore, but if you get Beck's here, it's like 4% alcohol. But I'm pretty sure in Germany it's like 8 to 12% alcohol, right? Yeah.
So a liter of ice cream, box of cookies, Pop-Tarts, two of those bags, so 4 Pop-Tarts, a half a bag of, those cereals that look like little cookies?
Yeah.
Cookie
Crisp.
Okay, those, half a box. Then I didn't count the milk with it. He had half a glass of strawberry jam. And what else?
That's no sugar added,
what
right?
Do you put
is that
the
polymer?
jam? What do you put the jam?
Yeah, this one tastes really good. It's like
St. Balfour. Yeah, I'm familiar with that brand.
What do you put the jam on?
On the ice cream.
Never heard of that.
This is epic.
Is this after your workout, or is this like later on in the evening?
This is after the second workout.
Okay.
But sometimes I get to a point in the show prep, actually that has been a couple times, where I do a full cheat day, like Juan, Juan Morel. I don't train on that day. I just eat as much as I can.
It's counterproductive to train on the cheat day because you're burning the calories and you're decreasing the amount of time you can eat.
But right now it's not necessary. So I only need the one cheat meal that gives me an extra probably 2,000 calories, and then I'm good.
Okay.
And usually the next day I'm lighter, and then the following day I'm heavier than the 2 days prior.
Do you stay away from particular things when you do these cheat meals?
No.
Just free.
Whatever I feel like.
It's impressive.
I don't care about, gluten and milk and whatever else everyone is worried about.
That's fucking awesome. That's fucking awesome. Do you get bloat or anything like that? Like here's what I'm thinking, right? Like a guy who goes and eats like a 16-inch fucking pizza and his guts just like the size of a meteor. Or is it just like
this morning I had to go to the toilet a little more than the day before,
right?
But I guess with all the milk sugar, and that was to be expected.
Yeah,
but it's not like that I have a hangover the next day or something like that.
Yeah, wow, that's cool as shit, man. You got a freaky fucking set of genetics, dude. That's crazy.
The trick is, I think, you just have to keep eating gluten and lactose all the time.
Yeah.
Can't stop.
Yeah, because once your body becomes deconditioned, it loses the ability to digest the stuff, and then you do a cheat meal after the contest, and you feel miserable the next day,
right?
Because your body hasn't seen it for 4 months,
right?
So that's what I used to do. Is I used to have this was like a Dave Palumbo thing. Is you over diet 6 days, and on the 7th day you have pizza and ice cream, and then that way your body is used to digesting shit. so that it never loses the ability to digest shit. Yeah. So that if you have to shit load because you can't clean load on white rice, then you can use shit foods and you don't get the gastric distress.
Exactly.
That's then something I used to do this, like, it's funny because I was on Justin's podcast and he brought this up, is that he was bringing up stuff that I forgot we did. He's like, I've never seen anyone lose weight that fast with 5,000 calorie cheat days every 4 days with pizza. And then I was just like, okay, I forgot that we were throwing a pizza on top of the 5,000 calories, or I was using a pizza every 4 days, and I digested better because in the off season, I was digesting pizza terrible. So we pulled it, and I was on like an 18 months off season, right? And then Karina and I had this conversation the other day that she's like, you're right about it helps when you're prepping. When you're on prep, shit food helps you digest better. But when you're off season, shit food fucks up your digestion. And that's the case with a lot of people.
That's why I always try to keep in for carbs, like a little bit of not just pure rice, but maybe like once a day, something that has gluten in it.
Yeah, pretzels or something.
I've been doing that a little bit too. I've been having ramen noodles, not the shitty ramen noodles, the high-end ramen noodles. And that's got I'm getting a little bit of gluten every other day or every third day. Or if I might go and get an extra lean beef and then make a burger and then have one bun with that. And so there's a small smattering of gluten throughout the week. That's usually 1 or 2 days. There's one serving of it.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to have enough to have intestinal inflammation from it, but it's that the enzymes are still being produced to digest it.
This counterintuitive, but it makes sense. You think?
Yeah.
Fuad says too.
So I stay within I don't cheat per se, but I might have off-plan meals that still fit within the macros. And sometimes if you're in a situation where you have to eat at a restaurant and you can't look up nutritional facts, like for instance, Subway has nutritional facts, but it's bread and cold cuts, versus you could go to a Lebanese restaurant and get chicken and rice or steak and rice, but you can't look up the macros.
Right.
I would rather default to the correct menu items and then just have an untracked meal and eyeball it than know for sure that I got the right amounts of the wrong foods.
I once ordered the gluten-free option at Subway, the gluten-free bread. Anybody out there who's listening to this, if you don't have to, don't do it.
Yeah.
Just don't. It's
Yeah.
It ruins the whole.
It ruins the whole experience. I did that one time. Like I was dieting, like actually successfully for a change for a period of time, and I thought to myself, like my girl wanted to get pizza, and I thought to myself, I'll get the gluten-free pizza that they offer. So I'll be good. I'll cheat a little bit, but it won't fuck up my diet. It was like it was like a Lunchables pizza, like that somebody stuck in the fucking oven. It was the word. It ruined the whole experience. Like Roman said, like it was just like the cracker crust, like fucking awful. I should have just gotten the real thing.
So when I was carving up with for Tampa last year, the only grocery store, Justin and I were late at night. So we trained at Joe Bennett's gym, and then we went to the grocery store. And on the way, there was what is it called? The grocery store that only has the organic stuff in the U.S.
Whole Foods.
Exactly. So we're going in there. The ice cream was fine, but I bought some cereal. It was like a Toasted Crunch knockoff, and then I think it was like a Captain Crunch knockoff. So I'm thinking, yeah, man, I'm gonna put the Captain Crunch on the ice cream and mix it up with the vanilla ice cream and all that. Dude, it was disgusting. It was the most disgusting cereal I've ever had. It tasted like nothing, like cardboard. So I couldn't eat it. It was
And you probably paid like 3 times the price you would have paid for regular Captain Crunch too.
$6 or something like that.
Yeah. I used to work for Whole Foods as a butcher for a few years, and nobody who worked there could afford to shop there. We would call it whole paycheck market.
So I've heard that before. I thought it was a unique thing, but I guess maybe people independently came up with it.
No, it's a real thing.
The whole paycheck.
Yeah, and I hear that a lot.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, it's funny. The ones now, it's like they're so you could link it with your Amazon, and you don't even have to like go to a register. It's just like you pick the items up, and they automatically like enter your cart, and then it's fucking weird, man. It's like all automated, but the shit's so expensive.
How come all the organic stuff? So most of the organic stuff tastes awful.
Well.
I guess it depends on what it is. Like, is it real food?
Yeah,
like
so I would say
like cereal and stuff.
Right. That's to me. I don't normally eat that shit anyway, so I probably wouldn't notice the difference. What I used to do,
know the difference.
I used to never eat the regular people food. I used to only eat the fat-free version. Like back like 30 years ago, fat-free options were new, so I started just eating fat-free food. And then I never really tasted a difference because that's all I ever had. I had never had the regular version. I had never had never had whole milk. I was starting about 8 years old. I started having skim milk, and I never went back. So I don't taste it different. If I was to have whole milk, it would taste like drinking cream to a normal person.
I think the reason why they can make these products, you're talking about like people in the chat are saying like organic chicken, organic steak tastes good. Like, Roman's talking about like his experience with the fucking like specialty brand cereal that is only carried at Whole Foods, and how it is not comparable in taste to like the cheap shit that you get like at a Captain Crunch at a normal grocery store. The reason I think why it doesn't taste as good is because it doesn't have to, because they're not selling it based off of the taste. They're marketing it purely based off of like the health benefits. So they blazing that shit all over the front of the box, like how it's healthier, it's better for you. Then when you taste it, you're like, well, it doesn't taste as good as the other stuff, but that's okay because I think it's better for me, and I'm willing to spend 3 times as much on it because I'm a fucking idiot.
So it's a competitive market. So whereas the normal food industry, the way they compete is with flavor. So, like for instance, McDonald's meat has bread and sugar ground into the beef to make it taste.
Germany.
Not in Germany. That might be true. In Germany, it's not. But in here, they literally can do whatever they want to get.
Where there aren't laws to protect the populace against shit like that.
Yeah.
They can't. They do it where they can.
Yeah, in the United States, there's no laws to protect us from the food companies. So it's just about getting you addicted to their brand. So they put as much addictive, when high fructose corn syrup is about as addictive as it can be, and they put it in everything. Whereas high fructose corn syrup isn't organic, so it's not going to be added to any of the organic foods. So they're not trying to make you addicts to their brand. Their way that they compete is based off of who can have the best label, like who can literally have the best nutritional facts and ingredients.
You nailed it.
You're using mental. They're trying to acquire the mental crowd, the people who read and can think, and they're competing with quality on the label versus the rest of the food company is going after the emotional crowd where they're competing for your taste buds. And then the emotional pleasure or high you get from the chemicals touching your tongue.
Absolutely. They have fucking scientists like determine the exact ratio of fat to salt to sugar in their product to make people as addicted as possible, like depending on how often they eat it. And they talk about their customers as users. Like that in their market research, they do. They're like, this is a heavy user of ho-hos. Like, we got Dan Hansen here pumping the show full of money. We should probably take a look at his questions here. How should I design a cut? I'm 25 to 30% body fat. I did a quote unquote off season for about 1.5 years with breaks. Age 36, 840 test, 420 primo, 5'10", 280. It would shed the muscle. He said in the past he would lose muscle when he would try to cut.
So my thing is, like, if you were losing muscle and trying to cut and you were on this amount of gear, you're doing something astronomically wrong.
with your diet.
Yeah. Here's the number one reason that comes to mind. Do not change your training.
Yeah.
So what put on the muscle is going to keep the muscle. So there's two schools or two types of people. One type of people, they think as soon as they start dieting, I'm weak. I'm so weak. You know?
And then they
the others think to cut, I have to do more reps. You know, to get the definition. That's both bullshit. Just don't change your training, especially not in the beginning where you can still progress weights and strength.
Yeah. I think that too, and
I did change the training. Okay.
Yeah,
so don't.
That's huge. I think that, and like a lot of people think they're much leaner than they really are. And when they tend to lose, or bigger than they really are. And when they lose the fat, they realize, holy fuck, I wasn't actually that big. And maybe the cutting wasn't the issue. It was the off season that was the issue. You got too fat, didn't make progress. You lost the weight and realized that you didn't make progress.
Right. That's why we really only take in consideration what your stage weight is. That doesn't mean everyone's a competitive bodybuilder, but if you're a competitive bodybuilder, it's what's your stage weight from year to year to year, because that's how much muscle you actually keep. Because it doesn't make sense. Doesn't matter how much muscle you put on if you put on so much fat that when you lose the fat, you lose that muscle anyway. So
yeah, I mean, even at 25 to 30% body fat, let's say that was his honest rating. That's extremely high for an off season.
Right. I mean, it's insane. Basically you should do 12 weeks of cutting and then 6 weeks of a maintenance, or 4 weeks of a maintenance, 12 weeks of cutting, 4 weeks of a maintenance, 12 weeks of cutting, 4 weeks of a maintenance. We're talking, it's going to be at least a year to get down from 30% body fat down to like 15.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, do not remove the stimulus for the muscle. That's a mental thing. For most people that I work with, it's like, oh man, it's either we're going on a cruise dose for 4 to 6 weeks, you know, just in between cycles, and immediately the day after their last shot, they're weaker than the day before.
Yeah.
It's like, you just took Deca and Tren, Deca and Test yesterday.
Yeah.
And just by thinking you're off now for the next 6 weeks, you're already weaker. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or you reduce your calories by 15%, and the next day you're automatically weaker. It's like, that's bullshit. Okay. Just keep the load progressing even, and maybe add 20-30 minutes of cardio in the morning to start with. Reduce your calories by, I don't know how many carbs you're on. If you're on 500, go to 400, and just don't change anything else.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it looks like what I'm reading here is that you're about 80 pounds of fat. Yeah. So if you lost 2 pounds a week for 12 weeks, that's 24 pounds. And so if you went 12 weeks on, 4 weeks off, that's 4 months. That's a third of a year. So if you're losing, that means you lose 72 pounds of fat in a year. So doing 3 iterations of this, 12 weeks of diet, 4 weeks of maintenance, 12 weeks of diet, 4 weeks of maintenance, 12 weeks of diet, 4 weeks of maintenance. In 1 year, you will still have fat to lose. You will not even be ready to turn around and start growing again. So you've dug yourself into a situation where I don't know how much muscle you put on in that 1 year off season, but that 1 year off season put on enough fat to where you're going to take over a year just to lose the fat. So whatever muscle you put on during that off season wasn't worth it, because had you just ate clean and in a 10% calorie surplus, you would have put on more muscle over the span of the 2 years. You may not have put on as much muscle in that first year, but you would still be growing in through the second year. So after the span of the 2 year macro cycle, then you ended up gaining less. So that's why, and then plus there's the issue of increased set point. Your body thinks your body fat's supposed to be higher. Increased set weight. Your body thinks your weight's supposed to be higher, which means it's always going to be harder to diet and keep lean. And then there's the stretching of the skin effect. Then there's the wear and tear on your joints and the wear and tear on your organs. So we would never, ever, ever want to get above 20% body fat. And usually 15 is like the upper limit. We want to get between 12 and 15 is a good place to start a mini cut. 15 to 18, you're definitely in range for a mini cut. Over 18, you definitely need to start a mini cut immediately.
Poor Dan, you really ripped into him.
Really?
No,
it's a rude awakening. He needs it. That's like
that wasn't that rude. That was exactly what he was looking for. I dare say.
Oh, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. Man.
No, I think Dan's
30% body
Dan's
fat
tough.
in a year though is. I mean, that's like you're really doing a lot. Like, that's crazy.
We want what's best for you, Dan. So listen to Todd's advice. It's good advice. Let's take one more here.
Yeah.
Let's see. We've seen that one before. Sort of in line with the last question. Assuming one's diet is on point, what is your favorite compound / PED to combine with fasted, non-fasted cardio for fat loss?
Clen, ephedrine, growth hormone,
caffeine,
yohimbine, injectable L-carnitine.
Be right back, guys.
Injectable L-carnitine. You want to get really crazy, like an IU or two of Humalog.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the magic mix here.
Yeah.
So you actually do endorse the 1 IU of Humalog pre-cardio?
I've tried it. You know, it's obviously like it's hard to really quantify how much it's doing, but I've not seen any deleterious effects from it. I very rarely have gotten anyone, to include myself, to go hypo from 1 IU, or 2. I don't know.
All right. Because
certainly doesn't hurt. And like in theory, like it releases glucagon, but it would also inhibit. You know, I don't know. It's hard to say like what's actually happening under the covers, but
I mean, it's not about the needle stick because I'm putting the GH in me anyway. But it's actually measuring 1 unit, or in Alex Kekal's book, half a unit. How do you measure a half a unit insulin?
Yeah, that's how you do it. Listen, you pull up 5 units, or 10 units even. Yeah. Then you get an insulin pin. 5 units is easier. You get an insulin pin that has 100 IUs on it.
Right. You fill with water.
You draw back water up in it. And then
there you go.
Good to go.
That makes so much sense. Yes. That makes so much more sense. Or you could even, an even simpler way is you take your 10 units of GH and then you add insulin to that. Yeah. And that way, every time you use your GH, you're getting your insulin to activate the GH.
That's like your pre-cardio insulin or growth hormone.
And then because you're supposed to use the insulin before cardio, before training, after training, and before bed, which is when the 4 times you'd use GH anyway. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that one of your new cats?
Yeah, this is patient 0 here. We were talking about the beginning of the podcast. I'm pretty sure this is the one who brought the virus into the house.
Todd, did you hear he has 6 cats now?
I have 6 cats and one 100-pound dog. He's half pit bull, half Great Dane, and he wants to eat all the cats.
I don't understand. How does this happen?
All right. Well, I had dogs.
What does your wife have on you? Did you like murder someone? Like you ran over a hooker with your car and then she helped you bury the body, and so now you have to let her have as many cats as she wants?
I bought these last 2 cats, man. I'm the reason why this guy and his little brother got here. When I met my wife, then when we just first started dating, I had 2 dogs and she had 2 cats, and I had never had cats before. And then we moved in together, and now I've got 2 cats. And then fucking COVID happened, and she convinces me, let's foster these 2 kittens, and we'll help adopt them out like into homes. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And then those 2 foster kittens just became permanent fixtures in my house. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know what's wrong with me, but I started looking at petfinder.com like a month ago, just looking. Was just looking, and I found these two orange kittens, and I sort of like filled out the adoption application without even speaking to her about it. I told her, I was like, I may have gotten you pregnant with twins. I'm sorry.
Oh,
it just happened. But no more I'm at my limit now. I can't have any.
Please.
I fucking love animals, man.
Man, I don't know. What was her response to the fact that you just adopted 2 cats without even talking to her?
She said something to the effect of like, I would have expected a little bit more communication before a major decision like this, but she went along with it anyway. She's cool. I mean, like, look at this face. How can you say no to this face? Come on.
I can do it pretty easy.
I get attached to animals so fast that it's like a kiss of death when someone, because it's like, I hate that when someone's like, I want to rescue a dog, and then that they don't really give a fuck. After 2 weeks, they're gonna get bored of their new toy.
Yep.
But then now you're stuck with it because you actually feel love.
Yeah.
So you actually love this animal. So now, and then, I'll just stop there. It's not going anywhere good.
It just about got deep.
It's just like I know that this is going to go into the shady zone where it's not appropriate for television.
Misogyny.
I don't know what this was. I think I was taking a piss. I don't know what Mike is referring to when he says "Go Blue."
He's at the University of Michigan.
Okay.
I went there. Yeah, that's why.
Okay,
Thanks,
I get it. They're the Mountaineers, is that right?
No, the Wolverines.
The Wolverines. Like I was trying to figure out what the squiggle meant. I thought maybe it was like a mountain or some shit.
I don't know. That looked like the Metallica symbol to me, but.
All right, let's take one more question.
It's funny too because they changed Wolverine's outfit in Marvel Comics from brown and yellow and black to blue and yellow at one point.
Did you hear Henry Cavill's apparently possibly the next Wolverine?
That would be amazing.
That's crazy.
He's going to be he goes from Superman to Wolverine.
Yeah. I heard there was chatter about John Bernthal, who played the Punisher, being the next Wolverine. Who'd be good.
He would be good, but he can't come back as Punisher though.
Exactly.
And then
Cavill's out, it's a different universe anyway, but
the best Avengers were Wolverine, Ghost Rider, and Punisher when it was called Savage Avengers or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ghost Rider's never been done well. I think
Nicolas Cage was Ghost Rider.
Yeah, he had his hand at it. I mean, nobody remembers Nick Cage's Ghost Rider as being like, You enjoyed that performance, that movie? I think you're the only one.
Johnny Blaze is the least interesting thing about Ghost Rider. Anybody can be the Ghost Rider. It doesn't have to. It's just you're a vessel for a possessing spirit, really.
Yeah. Well, we definitely were overdue for a good Ghost Rider movie, I think.
Roman's bored. He hates.
I know. Sorry, Roman. I asked him what he does on his days off. I was hoping he's gonna be like, "Well, I play video games and shit." I was like, "Oh, that's cool. Me too." No.
I play Nintendo 64.
Oh shit, old school. We bust out the Mario Party on the weekends. What are you playing on the N64?
The best shooter I think is Perfect Dark.
We talked about that the other day.
That's better than GoldenEye.
There's so much creativity with the different weapons and stuff.
I agree.
You can put bots in there. In GoldenEye, you couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I had the Nintendo 64. I played with the controller backwards, and that's just how I learned how to play it. So no one ever taught me different until I did.
That's wild.
Yeah, and so I developed an articulate way of how to use this controller. And when I played with my friend split screen after 6 months, he's like, "What the hell is that?" That's just how I use it.
You're like the Jimi Hendrix of N64 player.
Wait, what? Yeah. It's like you're that smart.
I've never heard of
it at the same time.
That's
you're smart enough to reverse engineer the fucking controller, the most complicated controller ever, with 3 prongs, but it never occurred to you to flip it over.
No,
it's
just made
learning
so much
how to
sense.
read upside down rather than flipping the map.
I felt like it was more ergonomic the way I was holding it, and it just I don't know, it's fucking
that's
crazy.
Awesome.
It's crazy.
That is the smartest, dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Task failed successfully.
I'm glad
Oh shit. Oh shit. Well,
It didn't even occur to you that the rumble pack was facing the wrong
No,
way.
I was like, why does it face this way? It's so stupid.
The rumble pack was
You know
the
what?
giveaway.
You know what? What I'm most wondered about, the trigger.
Yeah.
On the bottom.
It was.
How do you like?
I would have to get one to do it because it's been so long. But yeah, it would be like I would. Yeah, like I don't know. It was probably some autistic shit back then, but I fucking rolled with it.
Oh man, I'd be so upset if I lost to you holding your fucking controller back. This is bullshit.
Wait, hold on. Let me. Okay.
Because the three palms are supposed to face towards you, right?
Right.
Yeah, I would face them away from me.
I know. I figured it out, even how you hit the buttons already in my head.
Yeah.
And you basically, the way you held the controller, your fingers were always on the trigger, so you just could articulate it like it's
exactly
like this. It was how you fire the shots, and then this is the joystick then for you, and this are the buttons, and then and this is the D-pad, this is the joystick, and these are the buttons.
Yes,
but at the same time,
how do you
were you diagnosed with Asperger's? Because that is the most Asperger thing I've ever heard.
I don't know, man. I just never, no one ever taught me, so I grabbed it.
No one ever taught you. What about the fact that no one else did that? You wouldn't look left or right.
6 months later, when my friend played with me, I was like, okay, I've been fucking this up the whole. I was in complete disbelief, though. I thought, like, this guy's just being disingenuous. The fucking thing is not meant to be played like this. No way.
Because everyone wants to lose a golden eye. That's what they come over to your house, and then they are willing to lose to you so that they can hold the controller wrong.
Oh, fuck.
That's awesome, dude. Thank you for that.
That's even funnier that you're that egocentric and confident at the same time that you think that you're right and everyone else is wrong.
I was so dead set, like, this is the way it's fucking done.
That's awesome.
That was so long ago. Holy fuck, man. Crazy.
Oh, man. That's the best. I hope that should be the fucking reel. That if this week you should clip that.
We can clip that. I mean I could stay on for another fucking hour just taking questions, but we should probably play it off. What do you guys think?
Yeah, deal with that.
I do need to eat. I know Roman needs to eat because he needs to eat every hour.
He needs another liter of ice cream and 40 apples.
That was only one cheat meal, though, right? You only had one cheat meal month. It's not like you have them willy-nilly
every week.
No, I did the last cheat meal last week
when we talked about it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like he pulls the trigger on those lightly.
Yeah.
No, I did one last week and I did one yesterday.
Oh, you just did one yesterday. I missed that. Okay.
Yeah. But the first 6 weeks of the diet, or 5 weeks, I just went straight. I went straight to get the fat off. Then I thought, okay, right now the fat is off. I can start. You know, when you set a goal weight, like you said, that's what I do. I set a weight that I know I'm in shape in, which is about like 266 about right now. Yeah. So I hit that weight. I think I'm in shape. And then I go a little bit below it. And then I fill back up over it. And the next time I'm at that weight, I look better than the first time.
Right.
And the more often I do that process, the better I look at that weight.
That's awesome.
Right. So my plan was to diet down to 185, fill up to 190, and then given enough time, diet back down to 185 and refill up to 190.
Yeah, but I'm doing that every diet. I do that like 6 times.
Okay.
Interesting.
So I've got Texas, and then I've got the Masters World, and then I've got Reno. So my plan was
when's Texas?
August 19th.
Okay.
And then September 3rd, and then December 7th. So the plan was be ready 2 weeks early, fill up into Texas, then re-diet for 2 more weeks, and then refill into Pittsburgh, then diet for another 10 days, then refill into Reno.
Yeah, and that's what I'm already doing right now.
Right.
Huh.
The first time I did that in 2008.
Wow. Shit.
By accident.
By accident. Okay.
Yeah, because and then I figured, well, this shit works, and I've been doing it ever since.
That's awesome. It makes sense.
To find shit out.
What year did you turn pro?
The first time, 2009.
Because you won, and they just didn't give it to you, right?
I won the world championships overall, and I said I don't want
it. That's right.
Because I wasn't good enough. Seriously.
You're
and
wild.
Then I won again in 2013. They said I got it, and then they said, maybe not. 6 months later, the German Federation. And then I won it again a year later in Prague, Czech Republic. And the German Federation had nothing to do with it. So I was standing on stage with the oversized pro card thing.
Yeah.
Now I had like photo proof. Take that away from me.
That's awesome.
But I won the German championship, the second pro card. I won on EQ and test. Nothing.
What was the total dose?
700 test. And now wait, I did every 5 days. I did a shot.
Okay.
Off 500 test and 200 EQ.
That's it.
Yeah.
Wow. That just gives
So
you.
it came out to be
700 and 280.
Yeah.
So many people on the internet would call you a liar for what you just said, even though it's you saying it about yourself.
And you can look that up. Actually, I'm wearing red trunks. Type in Roman Fritz 2013 German.
Boys, I gotta go. My cleaning lady just came here, so she's gotta clean my house.
All right.
I'll talk to her.
See you later, Kolton. What was it, Roman Fritz? What was the
13?
What? I'm sorry, you broke up there.
2013. Sorry.
Here. I'm sorry, I'm still trying to figure out how Paul does this. Present, share screen.
Roman, how old are you right now?
I stopped counting at 30.
No, really. What year were you born?
88.
Okay.
So
you're 33 years old.
No, wait a second. Yeah, the bottom left.
This one?
Yes, that's me.
Wow.
That was there. And this one in the middle, this right next to the muscle mag cover. Down. There's the muscle. This one is that one I like.
Wow. Yeah.
That looks incredible.
That's
Incredible,
EQ.
man.
That's EQ and test.
EQ and test. You heard it here,
Do you
folks.
feel your arms are the same size now, or have they gotten bigger?
I think they got smaller.
Okay, because I remember you were saying to me the other day that you don't think you have any arms. And I'm like, I'm looking at that picture, and you definitely had arms in 2013.
I think they got smaller. Honestly.
Well, I think maybe your arms will come up if next time you play N64, you try turning the controller around backwards.
I'm working on my arms now. Guys, I gotta go to sleep.
All right, man.
All right.
Yo, it was
Man.
great having you on, Roman. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for hanging out. We will catch you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Take it easy.